Hey guys, Patience O'Rourke here. I just wanted to pop on here and a lot of you who are local to me or who know me personally have known that we have been doing a kitchen remodel here for the last, I don't know, maybe a year. It's been a really long time. So I just wanted to kind of do a video, just kind of the story about our kitchen remodel, our process through it all. There's kind of a lot of information, so I'll probably break it up into a few different videos, but I had a few minutes here of time, so thought I'd get on and record this first little section here. So we have been, yes, doing a kitchen remodel this last year, and it really started off from a problem that we had in our kitchen. So back story. Okay, so if you've seen my videos, you've seen the way my kitchen looked before. We had these oak cabinets, oak veneer, I should say. They weren't solid oak, but just your typical box store cabinets. By the way, just total disclaimer, I love my kitchen. I loved my kitchen back then. I have always loved my kitchen. We actually chose this house that had a smaller square footage than probably we should have for a family our size. We chose this house specifically for the kitchen because I do a lot of baking, I do a lot of cooking. The kitchen is like my home. I love my kitchen. What happened is we started to notice underneath our sink cabinet was damp. And we didn't know why. We thought, oh, well, that's odd. Maybe I spilled something underneath there. I don't know. After months of trying to fan out this dampness and try to figure out where in the world is this coming from, we started to notice mold in the bottom of our sink cabinet. And so we thought, okay, well, we need to get this resolved. So we called a plumber out, and he noticed that the hose that comes down from our faucet underneath the sink had a small crack in it, and when you turn the water on, it would slowly like seep water down underneath the cabinet. And so we thought, okay, well, we got that all fixed, but we started to notice that not just underneath the sink was wet, even though we would open everything up, put a fan in there, try to dry things out, but occasionally there'd be like this mysterious puddle of water on the tile floor, kind of right in front of the sink in the dishwasher, and it just kind of appear there. And so us not knowing much of anything about home improvement, we're like, oh, well, maybe it's just from washing dishes, you know, like you load the dishwasher and of course water's gonna drip on the floor. But the puddle was getting bigger and larger, and we started to realize this is actually not fixed. We fixed the faucet, replaced that, but there's definitely something else going on. Called the same plumber out again, and lo and behold, he found in the bottom of our very old dishwasher, the heating coil element had worn down the plastic on the bottom of the dishwasher, and the plastic was so thin there was this small hairline crack, and apparently every time we were running the dishwasher, water was kind of seeping underneath the cabinets. I don't know how long this problem had been going on, but everything, the water was just, it was a slow enough seep. It wasn't a drip or a leak, I would say a seep underneath the cabinets. And of course, all of that's all enclosed. I mean, the cabinets sit, I don't know, 3.5, 4 inches up off the floor. And so just moisture was constantly like kind of going underneath the cabinets and not being aired out. So of course, that's what was causing our mold problem. So we stopped using our dishwasher, we disconnected it. We're like, okay, this is a big problem. We need to get this fixed. We'll get a new dishwasher, but the mold was still there underneath the cabinets. And even after we disconnected the dishwasher, we weren't using it anymore. We were being really careful with any water we used in the kitchen. We were hand washing our dishes, but the mold was still an issue. I had been scrubbing out the inside of my cabinets. The mold had spread. We have kind of an L-shaped cabinet along the wall of the kitchen, and the mold was just spreading. And if you know anything about mold or you've experienced mold, it is so hard to get under control because it just kind of multiplies and grows. Even if you've cut off the moisture source, it just kind of keeps going, those mold spores. And so I would scrub out the wood. We even tried to paint the wood with Kills primer to kind of block it out, but the mold is still was still going to be underneath the cabinets and was still there. And we knew in our heart of hearts that we should probably do something about it, but money was a big issue, because if you've done any kind of remodeling, especially a kitchen remodel is probably the most expensive kitchen and bathroom, most expensive room to remodel in your house. And so anyway, we kind of just tried to ignore it. My dad finally said, well, why don't you call homeowners insurance? You have homeowners insurance for a reason. You know, just call them and see what they'll say. And we thought, okay, well, maybe we'll have to pay some huge deductible and they'll offer to like cut out the bottom of our cabinets with a jigsaw, clean the mold, and then we have to figure out how to build the cabinets after that or something. Like, we were thinking very minimal. They're really not going to do much. We had our insurance guy come out. He was very kind. He looked at the issue and he's like, wow, you guys got a big problem here. And we're like, yeah. I mean, if you see my pictures, it was getting pretty gross, and black mold specifically is very bad for your health. Thankfully, he was very gracious. He was able to say, okay, we can file this as a flood damage, because he said it was water damage. It wasn't your fault. You didn't intentionally do this, even though it was an ongoing problem. I mean, they ask you those questions like, how long has this been an issue? What date did this damage occur? And we're like, I don't really know what date. It's kind of just been an ongoing problem that we didn't know about for a long time. So we kind of worked with our agent with that. We were very upfront with everything, explained everything, and he helped us file the claim. And he's like, well, I mean, it was like Christmas when he came to the house, because we didn't know what to expect. And this home is the first home that we've owned. We've never had to deal with claims before on our home. And so when he came, he was kind of like looking around, and he's like, okay, well, we'll have to take out this cabinet and that cabinet and this cabinet, this whole row of cabinet, this whole L cabinet we'll have to replace. And we're like, oh, well, that's amazing. Like, that's like way above anything we ever expected. So we're thinking, okay, they'll replace the lower cabinets. And then he's like, well, and you know, the upper cabinets, I mean, you need them to match, and this wasn't your fault. So when we replace the lower, they're not going to match the upper. So we have to replace the upper too. And we're like, okay. He said, and then we have to replace the island because that needs to match too. And when we rip out the countertop, well, I mean, you're supposed to try to reuse it if you can, but when we rip it off, it's probably going to break. So you're probably going to have to get a new countertop. And then the backsplash isn't going to line up. You're probably going to have to get a new backsplash. And we'll probably have to replace the drywall behind it, and this, and this, and this. And he just kept listing off like this whole like can of worms, basically, about what we're going to have to replace, because that is the way remodeling things go. I mean, if you fix one thing, you have to fix, like, yeah. So he kept saying, yeah, we'll cover this, that. And we were just like blown away. I mean, Nate and I looked at each other and we were just like trying to contain ourselves and not look like total idiots, because I felt like jumping up and down and shouting and being like, are you serious? Like, I've always wanted a brand new kitchen. Like, this is crazy. So we're trying to act like normal people, you know. Yes, oh, of course. So that was a very like, wow visit. And he said, you know what, he took measurements of everything, and he said, I'm gonna get you a quote, I'm gonna figure this all up, and I'm just gonna kind of send you over something, and then you see what you think. And our agent's name was Brian, and he was very good at walking us through everything in order for us to get the best deal. I mean, he explained to us up front, he's like, hey, I'm gonna send you a quote. It's gonna be very low ball. It is gonna be like not enough to cover what you need it to cover. So what you need to do is then send me quotes saying how much money you really need, and then we'll work you through and you go back and forth. So it wasn't like they were trying to smooth us over or anything like that. Like, he was very much trying to help us, trying to get the best deal and get the coverage that we needed. So anyway, we did that. We waited for his quote. To us, that was like, that's a lot of money. That is a ton of money. But when we started to look at prices of what it would actually cost to get this work done, we started to quickly realize that this was not anywhere near enough to cover what we needed it to cover. We were very thankful, but this wasn't exactly what Brian said would happened. They lowballed us, and that's just what they have to do. Insurance companies, they try to save as much money as they can. And so, yeah. long story short, we tried to figure out, okay, what kind of work can we do ourselves? What kind of work can we have friends do for us for cheap or for free? And what do we have to contract out? As we started to rip out the cabinets, that was when we saw how much damage the mold had actually done. And it was pretty disgusting. We had, of course, the sheetrock was moldy. We had to contact our insurance agent again to have them cover more of the sheetrock because it came out farther and higher than what we had thought that it did. So we had to rip all that out. We found a couple surprises, couple easy fixes. I mean, there was like an entire ant colony living within our wall of our kitchen. That was hilarious. I was like, well, this is why we have an ant problem in our house. There was grass growing inside of our wall, which was bizarre. We found out that the 2x4s, the studs behind the sheetrock, were in fact moldy as well. And so that was really important to us to get that taken care of, because if you're gonna go to all this work for all this mold, of course you don't want it to come back. And mold is kind of like a creepy thing. Like, it just, like, I don't know, it just creeps me out because I feel like we have to get it totally eradicated or it's gonna like grow back like a weird sci-fi movie or something. So that was important to us. I'm trying to think what else. We, in the middle of our kitchen remodel, found out we had termites in our house. That was lovely. So in the middle of all of this, we had to pay for a termite person to come out. And this was not at all covered in our claim. We did end up using kitchen money for this. So it was a blessing we had kitchen money. And by the way, when you file a claim with insurance and they give you money to do a project, as long as the project gets done, you are allowed to use that money for whatever you want to use it on. So like for us, we were able to save a lot of money having friends help us, family, doing some of the things ourselves. And we were then able to use the extra money and to spend on upgrades that weren't covered by insurance, or to pay for a termite person to come out, which was almost $1,000. It's ridiculous. But they had to come out and drill down into our foundation, drill all the way down, several holes about every 1.5 feet or something, or every 18 inches, all the way around our house, drill these holes down and pour poison down into the ground to kill the termites. So we had the termites, we had the grass, we had ants, we had mold that went all the way through the wall. We had to tear out part of the wall in the garage and get that all taken care of. We decided to, if we're gonna do all this with the kitchen, I decided, you know what? I am going to change up the kitchen a little bit and change some of the things that were kind of bugging me. So like I said before, I loved my kitchen, absolutely loved my kitchen. But there was a couple things that bugged me just a little bit. The main one was the refrigerator. So my old kitchen had the refrigerator on the far right side of the L, and which was fine. It was a fine place, but when you open the right hand door of the refrigerator, it was up against the wall. And so I could never open my refrigerator door far enough to get the drawers out to clean them. I couldn't fit a pizza in there very well. It was just kind of an odd spot. And so, but there wasn't really a better spot. I don't know. So anyway, my friend helped me kind of think through how to reconfigure some things. We ended up flipping the island over to the other side of the kitchen. And then we put our refrigerator on the wall that the island was and added a pantry closet cabinet things. So yeah, totally remodeled it, or rearranged it, I should say. We kept the L, we kept the sink in the same place. The only thing we really switched is we flipped our island over to the other side. I keep saying island. It's not really an island. It's like a peninsula. It's like a free-floating but attached to part of a cabinet. I don't know what you call those things. I'm not an interior designer. We moved our refrigerator to a different location, and then we extended the kitchen out by a foot because, like I said, I do spend a lot of time in my kitchen, and I just thought, why not? Because we don't use all the square footage in my dining room anyway, and so we kind of gave the kitchen just a little bit more room. So that's the reason why we decided to remodel our kitchen, because of mold, and we found all kinds of other craziness besides, but because of the mold. I'll do a separate video explaining all about insurance and how that worked, and the breakdown of the money and how we decided to use that money. I know when we were in the thick of it remodeling our kitchen, I just had no idea at all what to expect or what to look for, or I don't even know, like budget wise, like these are such big numbers that, like, I don't know, our bank account had never seen that much money in its life, you know, all this big chunk of money that they gave us. And so I know that I myself was YouTubing lots of other people who had redone their kitchen, and it was just really helpful to see the breakdown, to see what's normal, what's a normal cost to spend on different things. So this video is kind of the why. We'll have a breakdown video of the money part of it, and then we'll have a breakdown video of the new kitchen reveal. I'll try not to spam the channel too much with the kitchen remodel videos, but it kind of has to do with baking, kind of has to do with my channel, kind of has to do with why I've been gone for so very long. My kitchen's still not completely done, but it's getting there. And yeah, so if this was helpful for you, please give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.